Welcome to Ear to the Common Ground. Here, we celebrate the power of music and food to bring Americans together. Filmed from a historic barn on Cash Lane in Music City, each episode of Ear to the Common Ground features one musical artist and a diverse gathering of 8 of their fans. Everyone brings a dish to the table, and they talk about one of the issues of the day, face to face, with compassion replacing contempt, as they keep their hearts, ears, and minds attuned to the common ground. I am Kyshona, and these are 8 of my fans: Ellen, Carol, Nozomi, Christopher, Marie, Ruth, Webb, and Rosa. Tonight, we are focusing on voting rights. Let's celebrate America's greatest diversity, diversity of thought, and shine a light on some common ground.
Voting should be the easiest thing that an American can do. There shouldn't be roadblocks. There shouldn't be changing rules. We do so many things easy. If we all had to pay cash tomorrow, paying our bills, who would have a problem with that? We all would. It was frightening. Why can't we vote as easy as we pay our bills?
For me, too, when you say about it being easy, I think we also need to figure out how we can encourage people to even participate in the process.
If you give me voting right, I would be more serious about thinking about society and want to know more. But anyways, I don't have rights, so why bother? So those people could be more into society, and you guys want to help us, include us to live together. That's America. That's I expect it to be America.
Well, Americans we have a bad habit of taking everything that we have for granted. Everything. And by me admitting I never voted, I took it as my right to not vote, to protest the way we do our government. I may not agree with you, but I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with you to make sure you can do whatever it is. We don't do that anymore. And when it comes to voting, now we're using it's a weapon. Do you guys know synonyms to gerrymandering?
No.
So one is petty foggery. It's a mid-16th century English word. I hope PBS...
Oh, okay, we got to rein you in a little
Hang
bit.
on, hang on.
Okay.
But, no, hang on.
Okay.
Hang on.
All right.
Hang on.
I got a good question for you.
I want some leeway on this.
That will allow you an opportunity to expand. Go ahead.
But synonyms of gerrymandering include chicanery, include treachery, include fraudulence. How can we use a term like gerrymandering with a straight face in this country when it's fraudulent, in a sense, to do?
I'm glad I let you finish.
No,
because what I really wanted to do, because I'm thinking about people like my mother who were like, short words, short sentences, because I'm a college professor and
Yes,
I go on, and I love all these pieces. But I really do want to know, because I do have friends who don't vote.
Yeah.
But knowing that you were in the military and all of that, what was it that made you turn the corner then?
So
to decide to start voting?
So when you serve, when you take an oath to the Constitution and you say you're going to do these things for everybody, not for the people you like, not for the ideas you like. You don't serve the country to serve just what you agree with. Like flag burning is protected. It's a bad idea, but it's still protected. And people forget that our differences are what make us American. And people define America in so many different ways. Whether you're from Spokane or you're from the Keys, nobody's the same from one side of the country to the other.
We've gotten to this point where if it doesn't go my way, it must be wrong.
It must be wrong.
It must be fraud if it did not go my way. And everybody has their own little bubble where they're saying, You know, they have the answer. You know, I mean, I know that I take my mom to vote. And I know when we go in to vote that we cancel each other out. But I'm still doing it, and she's still doing it.
Right.
But, you know, then I hear people talking. I have a friend who just retired early as an elections commissioner because even though everything under his jurisdiction went the way that it was supposed to, he still was getting death threats against his family.
That's the problem that we're having. Because we've gotten to the point where people will get campaign signs shot at and worry about the gunshots coming through their homes. And that, I don't even know, this doesn't even, I don't recognize this. Even as we talk about voting, we have to consider what we're willing to do to protect our neighbors who might not agree with us, because we've allowed this slippery slope to happen. It really, I mean, that stuff coming through those boxes, whatever MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, or whatever, you know, we've allowed this to erode because, you know, I very often think of it like football teams. It's like, you know, I went to the University of Georgia. It's like, oh, you know, Florida State, I hate them. And, you know, all this. It's like, and it's like, it's
Team sports.
acceptable.
Yeah.
It's socially acceptable to say
That you hate
that
someone.
you hate somebody because of the way they believe.
You know, you put a Democrat in office, everything they're going to blame is going to be on the Republican. You put a Republican in office, everything they blame is going to be on the Democrat. It's just a back and forth of what they're doing. It's like playing poker. That's exactly what politics and voting is. It's like playing poker. The money never leaves the table. It just changes hands.
Wow.
Their job is to create confusion. And, you know, a lot of people, I'm sure most of us have heard growing up, you know, people say, you know, communication is the key, you know, to, you know, understanding things. No, communication is important, but comprehension is the key. Because you can communicate like we are right now, but if you don't comprehend anything I'm saying, then I'm just wasting my breath. So, I mean, you can put, you know, your civics class and say, okay, we're going to talk about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And y'all can go through, read the chapter, and you can have an open discussion. But if your students aren't understanding and comprehending what they are learning, they're not going to be able to apply that knowledge.
But there are these moments when something else can happen. Because we know the money's going to change hands, but how do the people get a sense of solidarity and get a sense of being a part of something larger and move it just a little bit further over to liberation and, you know, big shifts like the passage of the Voting Rights Act after all that bloodshed of white, black, Asian, Jewish, gay, straight, which is not the story that's taught in the schools, because you just said it.
Right.
And that's where we really need to, I feel like, even go beyond K through 12. And I'm a big believer in looking at the civil rights movement and the things that don't get written down because it was subversive. That's why it was successful, because it went against the grain. You know, freedom schools, where on Saturdays, you know, they really taught what is the process. They went into those sharecroppers' homes and talked to them. They talked to poor white people in the same way that they talk to poor black people. And that's what's been lost in the story of America, because like you said, when you said keeping the money on the table, it's the people at the top edges of the resources, the people who own the corporations and run things, keep us from talking to each other. There was an assumption that these people go this way and these people go this way.
I appreciate what a few of you have said about making it easier to vote. I'm curious about those of us who have the privilege of voting in this country, what our experience has been like getting registered. I have a kid friend in my life who is newly on her own as an 18-year-old, and getting documents is quite a job. Because you've just done it. You've just registered, I assume. Or were you registered prior?
I registered to vote locally right before the presidential election when the last president won.
And what was that process like for you?
It was super easy. I spitefully got a mail-in ballot. But then once the mail-in balloting became a point of contention, I changed my mind, and I wanted to see how the process worked by changing my mind once I had the mail-in ballot. So I destroyed, there's instructions on the mail-in ballot that says if you don't use this, destroy it. So I ripped it up in several pieces, threw it away, and I went to the polling place in our town. I showed my ID. They asked me, oh, see, it says here you registered or you had requested a mail-in balloting, and I said, I've changed my mind based on the fact that it's contentious now, and I just assumed vote here. They run my social security number, my driver's license number, and said, okay, you're clear to vote, and I went and voted. I don't understand when people say you need IDs. You always have needed IDs to vote. You don't need a special card that says, I can vote. You have a driver's license. You have a social security number. They cross-reference all that.
When you say first thing, like it's the easiest thing anyone can do, that you say.
Should be, yeah, should be.
That attitude is, to me, you're not trying to think, so this is easiest thing for you, but for people who are not easy, like what.
Sure. I meant as a philosophy of vote, American philosophy, voting should be the easiest thing an American citizen can do. There should be no roadblocks. There should be nothing to prohibit an American citizen to vote, whether it be handicap or like you should be able to vote from your phone if it's protected. You know, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So those things then, like maybe handicapped person or who can read, or like from that way maybe we could think like so young kids, like why they are not interested, or then do we talk enough? How about like schools, do we know what school teach?
Young people are just told, well, people died for you to have the right to vote. But they're like, what does that mean? You know, if they don't learn the story of John Lewis, if they don't learn the story of this multiracial people of various economic backgrounds fighting to make it possible, they might still think of it as just something that people did for Black people. But it was the civil rights movement that made it possible for everybody to have some of those barriers taken down.
From the very beginning of your American life, you should be not registered to vote. You can't vote as a child, but you should be on the path from the get-go. It should be a part of your Social Security. It should be a package. This is okay. When you turn 18, this is your code or whatever it is, you're going to register to vote.
So I'm curious to see like what other ways can we do to encourage everyone to be a part and feel like we are contributing something to the country.
Early voting, having it be a national holiday, having it be a day off from work, you know, and
take several days and not just a few. Or...
Having it be a celebratory opportunity, and in all that, I think it needs to feel like it's a natural part of our life.
Yep.
If we had more of a sense of, you know, people that we could put our hands on locally, then I think that would be maybe the first step. I've been thinking about things in that way to kind of take some of the edge off of this binary of, you know, what's going to happen in the next presidential election. I don't know if, has anybody ever run for office around the table here?
Who would want to run for office?
Yeah, good people don't run for office. Only the bad people.
And right there, though, that's an issue.
Yeah.
I know, because your name gets slung through the mud of everything you
Yeah.
did from 8th grade.
But somebody's got to, you guys.
I don't think it's an easy task for those that are leading in government, you know.
But you said it. You said that you immediately, your reaction was, who would do that because your private life would be laid out?
Oh, yeah, it seems like, and we've been talking about it all night, you know, you're just like, on you Republicans, you Democrats. And it's like, and, doxing people for, saying something or doing something is, and it's like, how is that fair? How is that kind? How is that compassionate? How is that even nice? How is that civil? There's no civil discourse when you have people doing that. So yeah, I don't know how anyone would ever want to run for office today.
What you can do is vote, and thank you for doing that job. So I read what you say, or I hear what you say, then I choose. Or that's what we can do.
Civil service is not a part of politics anymore. Nobody goes into it, in my opinion.
But we've got to change that, y'all.
We sure
and I'm
do.
saying
We
that
sure do.
because one of these days I'm going to have to step up to the plate. We were talking about the whole idea of making things easy. And I just wanted to know what people think about, sold to the polls, taking people, who might be at a church and on a Saturday or Sunday.
I'm not sure everybody knows what souls to the polls is, if you'd like to explain.
That's why I was going there. And being able to, put people on a bus, take them to the polls en masse to vote. That is something that has been, debated when we talk about, things are being done to keep people to vote, because if you cut down on early voting days, you don't have those opportunities. And, when I was talking earlier about making it be celebratory, I don't care if it's people from the Elks Club or the Country Club or the Baptist Church or the yoga group or whatever. To me, those are those kinds of things that could encourage people to vote, because they're with their friend, they're with their family members and everything. And because otherwise, we're talking about things that keep people from voting, they're trying to think, do I want to get off work? I don't have time to get off work,
Can't afford it.
I can't afford it. I don't have a car.
I'm definitely all for a national holiday to vote.
Yeah, and what's happened around the country, like we said, which is really
12-hour
scary
shift.
things, they've closed polls. I mean, they used to have more polls available for people to vote, and now it's just one place instead of 20.
So I'm for Kiwanis, churches, YMCA, civic places becoming transportation for people,
That's a great idea.
Of course.
For those of us who are privileged to vote regularly, how far is it to where your polling place is? I'll say that I live in this neighborhood, and I can currently vote early at the library, which is less than a mile from my house. And the Election Commission has not come out with the latest polling places for this year's election, but mine in the presidential election this past year was a block from my house. So I'm curious if
Mine was maybe 3 blocks from my house.
3 blocks.
I live
I
on
had
an
to stand in
island.
line.
It's real close.
Yeah,
I'm about 15 miles.
15 miles. So definitely a driver.
15 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're 15 miles. You are
about
too.
15. Yeah.
You had to have a car. Yep.
Perks of
But
living in the country.
we
though.
bank by phone these days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's more important
and
than
no
your money?
buses or public transportation. I don't even think we have Ubers. I hadn't checked.
We bank by
Well, yeah,
phone.
we hadn't even gotten into that. Should we be able to do mobile voting?
I mean, we trust all our bill paying by
That's true.
internet.
That's
we order, our credit card is all over Amazon, and then somebody's going to say, well, they can hack your credit card. Yeah, but they have people and things and processes and things in place to make sure that that's curbed or prevented or fixed when it needs fixing. People have jobs based on cybersecurity.
Right.
So when it becomes easier to vote and we can do it safely from computers and phones and stuff, that I think some of that mileage goes away, and we should look into that, because most rural areas do have internet now. I'm not saying all places. I'm not saying all places.
Talk about that.
I'm not saying all places, because I've lived rurally most of my life between Florida, Indiana, and Alabama. So I've lived lots of different places. But for the most part, we're getting to where we are connected, even if you're not, you should, again, be able to have help doing it by vehicles and churches and civics.
And I'm going to play a little devil's advocate
Go ahead.
with that. Do we want to make it too easy to vote?
Yes.
Where they're not even thinking, they're just pushing a button. And they're really, oh, I'm going to vote for this person because
That's
they
what
look
they
good
do
on
at a ballot
TV.
box.
You know, just like a show, like it's a show or something. Like American Idol or like any of those TV shows. And yeah, I don't know, I think of it as a civic duty. I don't think of it as, oh, I just want it to be so easy that I don't even have to think. And I think that's part of it. If you make it too easy,
Well, I mean,
are they going to think about what they're doing?
Not everybody is going to go into a situation like voting and just go, meh, meh. So I understand we can't get down that road. It's just it's easy to bank, it's easy to pay your bills. We do it, and people can go to a ballot box in the same manner that you're using the devil's advocate with, and do the exact same. They can put Mickey Mouse in the write-in.
Yeah. And people do that.
People
and
do
people
that.
do that as a
So that already
protest.
happens.
Or leave them empty.
But I
Yeah.
think that's just, like we said, we have to trust every individual to decide how they're going to use that right.
Yep.
Right.
I know that it is good to encourage like the system too, like be part of it. Like they say we have to be part of the solution, not just the problem, right? If we're just complaining about things. So I think that if I do get the opportunity to vote in the future, I would feel like super happy to have a voice, but I already also have trust and faith in us as humanity to keep working together.
Hey, you guys. How's it going? Y'all look beautiful. Y'all really
Thank you,
do.
you too.
The lights, man. So look, I brought my dad's cheesecake.
Ooh.
So we call it Kent's cake. So yeah, this is my dad's cheesecake. He is known all over Colombia for his cheesecake. People call him and say, Kent, will you bring a cheesecake to the wedding?
Oh.
So we're gonna hope I did him justice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are y'all feeling?
Kyshona, I feel
Good.
like you've told me the exact same thing one time about your dad's soup.
Yes.
And he's famous for his
It's just
soup.
famous for his soup because he doesn't cook much, Ellen. So the things that he does cook, he cooks very well. This there's a Mexican soup he's learned how to make in the last year. It's really good. Cheesecake and then Chewies, which is something that I put all my COVID weight on eating. Yeah, which is just brown sugar and butter. And you bake it. That's it. Yeah, it's really good.
That sounds
But
good.
yeah, are y'all feeling okay?
Yeah.
We need another hour
Yeah, right.
to talk.
It was really awesome just to kind of be a fly on the wall, literally. Just to hear so many different perspectives, you know? And I thank you guys for coming to the table, being like open to come to this table with strangers for most of us and like talk about something really hard. Because of course, when you talk about voting, you got to talk about all the other stuff. You got to talk about the history. You have to acknowledge what has been done here in this country when it comes to that. But then that can be hard for a lot of people. So thank you guys. Yeah. You've got your reasons, and I've got mine. Ain't no agreeing, but I'm on your side. I can't hear your heart over the screaming crowds. We've said awful things, but I'm still choosing you now. We've got more in common. We've got more in common. No matter what you think, where you've been, who you are, we've got more in common than what tears us apart. Second chances, they don't come every day, no. They're like sun and Seattle, or like February rain. ready to receive it, 'cause love is binding us all. We've got more in common. We've got more in common. No matter what you think, where you've been, who you are, we've got more in common than what tears us apart. Na na na, na 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 na. Take my hand, we'll rise together through the fire. You are my brother. The more we seek, the more we find it. More in common. Take my hand, we'll rise together through the fire. You are my brother. The more we seek, the more we find it. More in common. Yes. Take my hand, we'll rise together through the fire. You are my brother. The more we seek, the more we find it. More in common. We've got more in common. Mm-hmm. We've got more in common. No matter what you think, where you've been, who you are, we've got more in common than what tears us apart. Na na na, na 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 na. Let the frogs sing with me tonight. Na na na, na 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 na. Na na na, na 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 na.